Good morning. It is Sunday. It is spontaneously, because I don't know how time moves like this, but it is Canadian Thanksgiving, and I did not even process that it was Canadian Thanksgiving because holidays and stats mean nothing when you're self-employed. But here we are. I have the stream today and then a art hangout for club members from 1 till 3. So it's going to be a busy day on this end, plus getting a whole bunch of the sales stuff sorted out and packages off and running and all that good stuff that happens when you are doing a thing. It is also snowing for the first time this year, which was a little bit of a shock to the system. It hasn't snowed yet, and I don't know how to process that. We dropped like 20 degrees between yesterday and today, and it's just wild. My brain's struggling to process, and my body too. So yeah, that's quite the thing. I have some stuff to show you today. I got a box in the mail with some goodies in it, and Briar showed, well, they technically didn't show it. They sent out their Christmas catalog, and it has some of the new Premier models in it and their club models. So I'll get to show you guys some pics of that, which is kind of cool. I don't have the magazine in hand myself, but pictures have been shared online, so I will share them with you. We have people in chat. Good morning. Morning, Amy. How's it going? Morning, Krista. Hello. So yeah, I've been a little bit behind with trying to get the club stuff sorted. There was a bit of a pivot. They're requiring a lot more to send stuff across the border now. As you guys know, the tariffs made it so that there's no de minimis, and de minimis was supposed to cover all the little shipping people. So companies will have SKUs, and those SKUs will contain items, and it's all done by professionals. They have team people to do that. They have brokerage people that organize all their paperwork. So now that's all on individual people shipping across the border. So anything that's different in the boxes causes problems. I had a whole issue this time with sending the stickers out because the manufacturer and HTS code for these little stickers did not want to process properly, but he's so cute. He's so worth it. I showed you guys a video on socials, but all the little hairs in there, it was so fun to play with the new technique. I used a different technique for the Clydesdale that I did with all the little hairs. This one was going to be a lot hairier, so I wanted to play with some of that stuff. And I really like it. I will try not to make all of the stickers super hairy and fluffy, but there might be a couple more because it's so cute. So yeah, the little guy, who doesn't technically have a name, is actually quite similar to Groot. So I have Groot here. If you guys remember Groot. And then this one is painted by Lauren Hoeffer. You can see that they're brothers. And then I had people suggest that I sculpt him. So maybe I'll put up a little poll and see if that's something that you guys would want to see in adorable, tiny pony format, full 3D. Nobody knows. Or even a medallion. Maybe you prefer a medallion of that cute, and then they can be cute together. So yeah, what else do I got for you? I got a couple things to show. One's a spoiler for the medallion club, so I will leave that again to the end, because those boxes haven't arrived, to try and keep spoilers down, and then we'll just be like, "Ta-da, there's the thing," because yeah, I got the Fireheart clock and Clock Horse, the Pioneer Vintage Club in. And then along with it, the Manowar stablemate. So I'll get to show you guys that in a second. And yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. So anyways, the club stuff, my brain's a little disorganized. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. I have to go to the doctor and get my hormones checked because I have been having challenges like hot flashes, like when I had chemo, which is not fun. And with chemo, it can actually put you into menopause and perimenopause earlier. You're not young anymore when. And then I had my tubes removed to prevent risks of to help with the risks of ovarian cancer once I had all my surgeries. Then that also can help make that earlier. So being in my late 30s, it's not unheard of. So I got to go get that checked to make sure that everything's okay, because you never know, right? And that's good to know. But that's led to a little bit of brain stuff and stress and all the rest of it. So we're taking care of it. We will do all the things, get checked out by the doctor, and hopefully everything checks out good and we keep going and I can manage whatever the heck's going on, because I haven't been sleeping either. So yay. So if my brain doesn't function and my words don't work more than usual, that's the reason why. But I will show you guys the clock horse. So this is Pioneer. He is fantastic. There's a couple little boogers on his bum, but he's super cool. I like that color. I love the pearls in it. I know people are kind of mixed on that. And then I believe it was Becky Turner that did the Fireheart family rendition on the bottom of the clock. And it's actually, he came in a, I'm running out of desk space. He came in a cool vintage box, which is super fun. And it is a replication of the clock horse, because they did do a clock that was similar. I'll pull out his little sheet that shows you. He is number 514 out of 1,200. They did increase the club from 1,000 to 1,200. And then that was the original clock that it's based off of. And it had a cowboy. You can kind of sort of see him there. He's over here. And then there was a steer that he was roping. So you can see that's the original. And that's what they made. So it's kind of cool to have him be immortalized in their 75th. Well, the whole Fireheart family, to be honest. Immortalized in a kind of a cool vintage piece that harkens back to their first days. You got to pinch me, because I don't understand how this happened, but we shall see. So I just put him back here for now. And there was a little stablemate in the books, and that's the Man of War. So super cute. I believe, which it's not Swaps. Which stablemate? Silky Sullivan? Maybe? I don't know. I'm really bad. I like Swaps, but I'm really bad about all the other ones. Terang, I think, is the... Maybe it's Silky Sullivan. I think it's Silky Sullivan. I haven't even opened him up yet. And this is thanks to Cindy for helping me acquire him, because I'm not in the vintage club myself, but she helped me make sure I could get the clock, because I needed it, even though it's not the actual Fireheart on the piece. It is still pretty freaking cool. And I don't have a clock horse, so now I have a clock horse. And this is the little guy. Just a happy little Man of War. Very, very cute. Silky Sullivan, I think, is the mold, but you guys can correct me. A little bit of funky seaming and a spot on his back where he's got a divot, but that's okay. He will live on my shelf and be happy. And they come in their little... This does something weird to my brain. Like, it's almost like super microfiber, if that makes sense. To those people of you that are sensitive to microfiber, it's like all the little catches of microfiber, but in big format. It's I don't know. I understand the reasoning why Breyer is using it. And supposedly, if you get the really crazy stuff and you really expand it, it does provide a cushion, but it's like extra. Yeah, anyway, stop touching it if you don't like it, right? What else? So I showed you guys the stickers. Because there's no treats in the boxes this month, because of all the FDA compliance stuff that I got to work through and paperwork for that, I did include an extra sticker in your boxes, and that's fun. What else do I got going on here? I showed kind of peeks of this when I was showing the rice trick of the rice going in, or the rice container, and having all the ponies on sticks sticking out of it. It holds paints really nicely, it holds brushes really nicely, and then these ponies on the stick, you can just set it in there, let it dry, and then bring it out, which is kind of cool. This one will end up being a Pinto artist proof at some point of the fire or fiddle and flame medallion that I did for the last medallion glove box. Lizzie Sorry I'm late. Hi, Lizzie. How's it going? Teresa, microfiber gives me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, it's a thing. So that's like super microfiber. It's just big. It's catchy on any little bit of dry skin. I'm very, tactile. It doesn't, I was going to say it doesn't bug me as much as it does some people, which is true, but it still bugs me. So anyway, that is a thing. So yeah, you'll see this guy pop up in Pinto format at some point. I have a couple of those primed and in various stages of staff. I will show you the Medallion Club medallion that I did a tweak to that you guys can also try because it's extra fun at the very end. Let's show you the stuff for the clubs. Pew, pew, pew. As my internet decides that it's not going to load. Okay, now it's doing it. Beep, 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 beep. Hold for processing. Got buried. Here we go. Vintage Collector Club logo is this lovely boy. So that may or may not be a hint as to what you'll see in the actual Vintage Club. It's hard to guess at this point. And then we have the Collector Club model that they're premiering for next year, and that's on the Rhiannon mold. That is the redone Pam Zara. It's more closely, I guess they went back in, talked to Christina Lucas Francis from Hagen Renaker, Tennessee, and got the details of the tooling so that they could replicate Zara, which is technically Pam, in stablemate form. So really nice detailing on the face and gorgeous detailing all over. This is the one that we see in the kind of extreme bloody shoulder flea bitten gray that's in this year's club. So that's kind of the flagship for next year's stablemate club. You can see them here. Looks like they raised the price for club membership. Oh no, that's the deluxe collector club model. So I don't know if it was $75 or $80 last year, but it's $80 this year. Oh, that's for the 2025, 2026 membership. So it'll be probably a little bit less potentially for just the 26. And that'll get you what may or may not be a decorator fire heart for Christmas. I'm a little concerned. They showed the peaks of some of the area, like the one peak that Briar has shown so far, and it looks like it's a silver filigree, and it looks very concerningly like it could be Fireheart. And then I need a larger house to contain all the Firehearts. I'm in danger. And just so you guys know, I don't get advance copies, advance notice, or anything. I have to buy these myself. I find out with all of you too. So who knows? So yeah, that'll be available at some point. Lavinia. She's really pretty. It looks like the auction model from I think this year or last year. And then the Pam head pin or the Zara head pin. What else do we got? Kiana is the stablemate. Quite lovely. I might need that. And then we have, what does it say here? I don't think it gives anything away for the Premier Club. Deadline, as usual, is December 31st, 2025. All models come in drawstring. I don't think they've given away any of the anything. Here's the little stablemate for the Stablemate Club that they previewed. So it is a altered version of the G3, I believe it is. I think that's the G2. It's either G2 or G3. See? Brain. Hormones. You need them for your brain because they don't work without the hormones, apparently. So it's an altered version, kind of like we saw with the Polo Pony. They've been doing these tweaks to these molds. I don't know who's doing said tweaks to said molds. They haven't said who that is. But doing tweaks to the mold, and then they are making really cute little tweaked versions of some of our favorites. So that's kind of cool. The Polo Pony is really neat. I think there was one other one that I can't remember that they tweaked. Harbinger, they added wings to the Darwin stablemate. And if anybody has an extra one of those, I will probably need it for my Darwin conga at some point. And then this guy. So braids in the mane and the tail. Very, very cute. I like the little moustache spot. That's very nice. Oh, native dancer. There you go, Twyla. Hi, Twyla. How's it going? Katie. Hi, Katie. Let's see. Amy says they raised the bar a lot. Last year before the Deluxe Collector Club was 65. This year it's 80 because it came with an extra stablemate. Jennifer, I'm almost 50. Had a hysterectomy but kept my ovaries. Tried Primal Queen and it's helped with the hot flashes and I'm less stabby, I'm assuming is what you say. Also had issues with sleep and find that magnesium helps with that. Good luck in my butt. Yeah. So I have like a dehydrated beef supplement that isn't Primal Queen. So that has some female hormone related. They take, I don't know how deep into it I want to get. That takes like female cow organs and puts them in there and dehydrates them, and it's supposed to be really good for you. So I might have to try that. I'm going to chat with my my gynecologist and see how that goes. This is not normal studio stream fodder. But they did want to take my ovaries at some point, so I don't know if they will just do that now or what the deal is going to be. They said sometime probably before 40, and I am 38 this year, so that's before 40. So we'll see how that goes. And I have great bone density, so they're not as concerned about that as they would be for people with less. So who knows? I did have a preview of all the hormonal symptoms when I was going through chemo because it did shut everything down for a while. I had the hot flashes. That's why I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's either really crazy out of control blood sugar or hormonal or both because they relate. So yay. I love this. But if I don't sleep, that means I get to work more, right? And paint more ponies and sculpt more ponies. So there's an upside. I just get really crabby when I don't sleep. Lizzie, 24-25 club was $80 for the remainder of this year and next year. You have to join the regular collectors club to be part of the deluxe. So they're kind of the same thing. The collectors club is the like access to all the clubs. So it's like the gateway club, and then you get to pick from there. But you can also do the deluxe collectors club, which would get you the little Zara Arabian stablemate. So it's not mandatory that you pay that higher price to get the pin and the pony. But you can add it on. And most people, I think, do, depending on what the stablemate is that year, because it's usually really good. And it's pretty good. I kind of like that. So I'm screwed. Yeah. And then they showed the premier horse, or one of the premier horses for 2026. We don't know which order they're going to come in. They haven't released officially the names of the artists. This looks like a Jen Scott piece when we first saw it at Briarfest in the preview in the 3D sculpted version. This is just kind of a clip at the end of the 2025 Briar anniversary presentation that Stephanie did. We got to see a piece of it and it looked very much Jen Scott. It still looks very much Jen Scott to me. And then the paint looks like Mariah Vogue, if I had to put my guess into the hat. But we'll find out soon. They'll say at some point what that is. It looks very much like Mariah's paint jobs, and if it is, then congratulations, Mariah, on getting to do a premiere piece, or whoever it was, because nobody knows. And Jen Scott, hopefully. Yay! Because everybody loved Hamilton, so we were bound to see her do something else at some point. Like I said, I don't have confirmation on any of that, but those would be my best guesses. I don't know. What are you guys guessing? And it is a mare, and it is an action pose. very excited. Georgina, which maybe it was a George, and now it's a Georgina. I don't know. I did. So yeah, I really like that it is a draft in an action pose on a base. It is hair, it is dynamic, it is movement. I'm excited. I don't know if I will be joining the Premier Club for next year. We'll see what else they put up in the lineup, and go from there. So we haven't seen, they didn't release what's in the Vintage Club. It is 1,200 memberships again, but the preview there is probably indicative of something somewhere, I would imagine. That's generally how they roll. Oh, just checking on the chat. Ooh. Lizzie's in there answering Katie's questions. Amy, that could be it. I hope that's it. The 80 plus was for the full year of 2025 and didn't include the remainder of the year. And I can't remember if they increased the price a little bit or not. So we'll see. We'll be releasing all this information. I think usually the clubs open up mid-October-ish. They try and time it with these magazines arriving, everybody being excited and wanting to join the clubs, and then they're like, clubs are open, do the thing. Let's see. So if you join just the Collector Club, you don't get the stablemate and the pin, and you don't get an option to buy it later. But if you join the deluxe one, you do get the stablemate and the pin, and it is included in that price. So it's not like you have to buy it later. But both of them give you access to all the Collector Club models, Collector Club events, Collector Club workshops, Collector Club part of the site, and then the ability to join the Premier Club, the Vintage Club, or the Stablemate Club. You need to be a Collector Club member of either normal or deluxe variety before you can join the other clubs. So that is the thing. Jennifer, I'm going Briar broke again next year. It might be a pretty intense year. We will see how she goes. Bobby, hello, good morning, afternoon, and whatever. It's like nobody knows. It's snowing, and I don't even know what day it is. So, and if you don't sleep for like 2 weeks at a time, then yeah. Or wake up in the middle of the night like drenched in sweat, and then it's freezing and then too hot and nobody knows. It's gonna be hard. This is gonna be my life. If I make a lot of Krabby Ponies for the next while, you know why. Lizzie, I don't usually join at all, but the Premier Draft model is a must. It is pretty cool. I'm excited to see hopefully more shots of it. I want to see the side-ons, but we will see how it goes. Hi, Libby. Welcome. So yeah, that's kind of what Briar's been up to. They had their fun day. That's a close-up of the face. They had their fun day yesterday and had some workshops that were available. And I think Greenhawk in Canada was doing a stablemate painting event. Yeah, she's kind of like big nose. I like it. I like her very much. And the hair. I love the hair. That's just somebody else randomly posting about their stuff. Ta-da! So yeah, that's been that. I'm excited to see what else we get, because normally we'll get some sort of peak. We've been getting more and more reveals over the years, depending on how their sales are going, I would imagine. Is reflective of how that works. Momo, hi Momo, how's it going? Amy had hot flashes just after my transplant. They suck so bad. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I know what's going on, but we'll see how it goes. Teresa, I'm there for Krabby Ponies. Show us the offside, Briar, says Katie. Yeah, exactly. I want to see everything. Just show us everything. We want to be informed. Katie, with the eyes and the lips. So yeah, there might be more Krabby Ponies. We will see. I did do something else that will make some performance people potentially excited. So I am working on figuring out how to do a hat for the new Joy doll head. This is actually starched cotton, like a starched cotton ball, which gives it some resilience. They used to make dolls out of this, apparently. It was like a thing. You would make little doll sculptures out of starched cotton. So I used the older technique of using cornstarch. Some people will use potato starch and some other varieties. And this is kind of rough. I was trying to figure out how to use it. But I might make some sort of finished product and then try and find a way to replicate it with reasonable certainty. And then if that is something that I can do, then I will offer them up for people that have the Yvonne head, because this should fit the Yvonne head too, or the Joy heads. But this is my rough go, so don't judge it too much, but cute. Gotta get my hat right in the center of my head. So yeah, welcome to the Raven Cowgirl Show. I'm expired already. It's a good day. So yeah, we'll see if that works. There's potential for a helmet as well. You can do and buy 3D printed ones, which some people do for their dolls. This is just a little bit more resilient. So we'll see how it works out because it has to look good too. And this one looks kind of chunky. It looks like a hat made of clouds. Amy says, funny story. I proposed a workshop very similar to the clearware one that just happened for the fun day, and they didn't like the idea. Mine used Briar box lids. Well, I'm sorry that happened because that would have been really cool. If you use the Briar box lids, everybody has those. It's recycling the materials and very cool. They seem a little siloed lately in their use of the same people over and over again for workshops and stuff. And hopefully they give other people, especially new people, the opportunity to do things like that. I think there's a lot of potential there for Briar to do really well. And for it to help foster the whole community. So we will see. If you want to see stuff like that, bug the heck out of them. Send them emails and let them know what you want to see. If you want to see different people, new up and comers that are doing stuff and just switching up things, definitely send them an email and let them know what you're looking for. If you want to see more workshops on sculpting, if you want to see more workshops on 3D stuff, if you want communicate with them, send them emails. That is how you get them to know what people want, because otherwise they have no idea and they just do the same thing. And if it's not working, then they don't know. So you need to tell them. Clearware workshop would be very cool. I hope one day you get the chance to do that. That would be awesome, Amy. Katie says, so that hat is 1/32 of Raven's face scale for reference. Almost. Probably about that. Something like that. It's funny. Momo, I was wondering for the people who bought Jug Life on time payments, when do the first payments start? So the time payments for all time payments that I do are based on just an invoice that goes out. There's no scheduled payments. There's no automatic withdrawals. It is pay on your schedule, whatever amount works for you. I believe the minimum is a $40 payment, just because the fees get crazy if there's a whole bunch of $5 payments. And you can pay it all off the day before the 6-month deadline. You can pay it all off tomorrow. You can pay it off in 2 payments. You could pay it off in 10 payments. Whatever works for you. So that's generally how that works. Because of the delays and issues with some of the border stuff with the club things, I still have time payment invoices to send out for everybody. So if you haven't gotten yours, hang tight, it's coming. And yeah, it should be pretty cool. I'm getting him into mold stuff, and the masters for the other two, for Little Jug Life and for Gabriel, should be in the Op's hands any moment now. I think it was scheduled to arrive before the weekend, but it might have gotten delayed. So they'll be making molds soon, and we should see some test castings, which would be exciting. They post those on their Facebook page, so that's kind of neat to see. If you're looking for mold stuff and kind of how they do their thing, they do post a little bit about that there. And Karen, hi Karen. That should be very cool. And we should have a test casting, I'd imagine, within a very short period of time here. It'll be primarily me doing the mold and the casting. The gentleman, Jordan, that we had helping with the mold or the casting here has been pretty busy with another job now. So we will see how that goes. Should go pretty quickly, though. He's a pretty well-behaved boy. Way less crazy than Biter, so that is a blessing. And I did make a couple changes to the tail that makes him a little bit easier to cast, and he will be hollow, which was said in the thing. The other two will be solid cast because they're smaller. That's how that works. And yeah, keeps him kind of light for your wrist, which is nice. So, very fun. Teresa says, thank you for offering time payments. It's a very rare thing for popular artists to do. Really? I didn't realize that time payments weren't really offered as much anymore. It is harder on the artist end to manage that and to work it into a schedule, especially if there's paid in full orders. But I know that for me, when I was buying resins at the beginning, and even now, a lot of times, it's very hard for me to afford, and was very hard for me to afford something in just a bulk payment at the beginning. Time payments is always a nice option, so I try and keep that on the list. There is an admin fee because it does take some doing to wrangle all the payments and get things sorted, and extra fees for all the different payments that come through, because there's a fee for each payment, and then there's a fee based on the amount of said payment as a percentage. So yay, fees, we love it. But yeah, the if you're looking for, so the big, like, classic Jug Life will ship directly from me from the studio. It'll come with all the normal goodies. As long as I can ship food goodies, I will include food goodies, but I'm working on the FDA stuff, so hopefully that might limit what I can ship, because they want exact brands, makers, where it's made, exact ingredients, and all the information for that exact item. So it's not like I can throw in 20 different varieties of candies into my mix, which is what I usually would do. I'll probably have to pick a couple favorites and limit it. And I know what kind of the popular one will be with that. The maple treats people really like, the little maple hard candies. If I can include those, I will. And coffee crisp will be at the top of my list. And then we'll see what else I can manage to include. And maybe the rules will change. There's a good likelihood that that'll shift and change as things go by. But right now, it's every day there's a different rule, and I got to jump through a different hoop. And then with Canada Post going down, and we lost our international shipper, and now we lost Canada Post as an international Canadian shipper, and I'm trying to find alternatives, and they've hiked all the prices for most of those. But thankfully, another one that's kind of reasonable came online. So international shipping, I can kind of do more reasonably now, for not a whole bunch of additional costs to most locations. It's ever evolving and very fluid. So I'm going to try and keep you guys informed the best I can, but please be patient as it's all shifting and churning, and they're requiring different paperwork and stuff from me. So yeah, that's fun. Anyway, Karen says maple. Okay, see, maple, hard treats, and coffee crisp. That's the thing. Teresa, well, I always have 2 or 3 going with you at a time. Without payments, I would miss out. Oh, well, yeah. So I'm glad that I could make that a little bit easier for people, because it's, especially when the edition times can be kind of sometimes really close, or if it's a limited edition, it's hard to get in there and be able to afford it, and it sucks to miss it and then pay 2, 3, 4 times the price later on. So yeah, that's the thing. What else did I have to show you guys today before I show you the spoilers? I think that was all the updates from Briar in general. We should find out more over the next coming weeks and months up until the 31st deadline. They should post more peaks and give us more information about the sculptors and the painters, and what maybe breeds we're going to see in the clubs, and what molds we're going to see in the clubs. For stablemate, they usually reveal everything. For vintage, I think they reveal most. And then for Premier Club, they've been kind of showing off almost everything. So depending on what's done, I would imagine is part of the play there, because sometimes they don't have everybody locked in and all the projects finished, because it's art, and it's very hard sometimes to get things done within that tight timeline. So please have a little bit of forgiveness for them and the artists. I did Fireheart in like a month for molding, sculpting, or well, the approval of all the different stages of the sculpting and concept, and then the molding and the painting. It was ridiculous. And that is a very hard thing for artists to do. It's like create in a super tight deadline with a whole bunch of critique and input from another party. It's like a super commission. So have some patience, have some um, kindness for the poor artists that are trying to fit in the bubble of whatever that might be asked of them. And then the thing that not all projects will work the way you want them to. Oh, I did have another thing. I'm going to take a sip of my tea first, though, in my cup, which holds like my whole pot of coffee, like the whole carafe basically fills this thing. It is wonderful. But yeah. And Lizzie brought up a really good point. These are the perfect mugs for ice cream because you can fill them full of ice cream. You have a handle, it insulates the ice cream from you from the ice cream, and it is a delightful size for all things ice cream and sprinkle and chocolate. So, yeah. I was going to have a bit of a chat with you guys about kind of insecurities as an artist and not feeling like you're good enough because I've seen tons of posts. We have the international customizing competition. Let me bring that up. It's not lining up time wise that I'm able to participate, but I encourage those of you that can to participate. It is a customizing competition, kind of like NaMoPyMo. So International Customizing Equine Event on Facebook. It has 1,100 members. People are working on all sorts of things from original sculptures to things in wood to crazy fantasy ponies and showing the progress. It's very similar to NaMoPyMo in that people are in there. Oh, apparently we have Teresa's comment that was hanging out on the screen forever. We like crabby ponies. That is the universe screaming at me. Crabby ponies. It's very close to whatchamacallit? NaMoPyMo in that there's lots of people in there helping and trying to encourage people. It's a nice, friendly, safe environment to do that in. If you've never sculpted, if you've never customized, it's a great opportunity to do that. People show their whole progress. It can be very inspiring to see people working on stuff. I'm going to try and get in there and comment and help people out as much as I can. You can sign up with everything. I posted my little ear tutorial in there. People are heating things, asking questions. It is absolutely wonderful. So I highly suggest it. Again, International Customizing Equine Event on Facebook. So yeah, between that and a few other things that have been going on with different customizing competitions, I know Country Chic Creations runs a customizing competition group on Facebook as well. Maybe I'll pull that up so you guys can see it. Boop-a-da-boo. This one, Country Chic's custom model events. So different customizing challenges will happen. Usually there's some prizes. Here's some of the winners from previous ones. Halloween pop-up challenge. So lots of really cool stuff to play with. Another really cool, it's kind of cool to do the challenges because I know for a lot of us, we need the deadline motivation to try and get things done, or even just to push you out of your comfort zone enough to do the thing. But something that I didn't realize until I kind of got into it professionally is that even the people at the very top, 99.999% of us, myself included, have insecurities and don't feel like our work is good enough and nitpick ourselves really hard. And you compare yourself to others and then you're like, why am I even doing this? If this person's so good, I should just quit. And I see it a lot online where something really cool will be posted by myself or other people, and people get in there and say, well, I'm not even going to try. There's no point. And I want to encourage you guys to try and fight off that voice. Acknowledge that it's fear and that it's part of yourself that doesn't want to be disappointed with yourself, with the work. Maybe it's a voice inside your head from someone that you grew up with, telling you that your stuff isn't good or that art is meaningless or worthless, or maybe that you are worthless. Never be good enough, all those things, right? Like I grew up with parents and family around me, with a couple of exceptions. Well, one, my grandma primarily, basically saying that art wasn't worth anything and you couldn't make a living at it, and that what I was doing had no value and that I needed to focus on things that would make me money, like computer programming or real careers. And part of that came from my dad, which was kind of disappointing because he was an artist himself and he wasn't able to do art as a career. So he couldn't let me do it as a career because that invalidated his experience. And he could have maybe done that and lived his dream, but he didn't. So there's a lot of complicated factors usually with people. And while it's not okay for something like that to have been passed on through generations, you kind of learn that people don't necessarily know any better. There's a lot of people around you that may pretend to be friends that will tell you you're not good enough because they feel insecure about what you might be able to do. I had a friend at one point that kind of did that, wanted to ride off my coattails, and then actually legitimately stole my work and claimed it as theirs at one point. And um, between that and then telling me and other people that were around them that were artists that they weren't good enough just to keep their own ego in a place where they felt like they were above others. It's not okay, but it's something that you're probably going to deal with at some point. And if you're surrounded by people that are doing that to you, then I would suggest that you maybe distance yourself from those people. Because it's already hard enough to be an artist. You want criticism that you ask for, because that's what's going to help you develop. Because if you're asking for criticism at that point, you are able to receive it. You're open to receiving it. A lot of people, if they just post something online and somebody critiques it, you're not going to take it in the same way. And it can be very, very demotivational to have those forces around you when already your own internal voice is saying, hey, I'm not good enough. But you also need to put yourself in a mindset of, if all of these people I admire started somewhere, then I need to be able to, like, you can sit there and think about, how did they start? They started doing really ugly things. They started making mistakes on their pieces. They probably still make mistakes on their pieces. There's a lot of stuff with Fireheart and all the horses I've done that I could nitpick away for days and weeks and months and destroy myself over, and I have in the past. And it just doesn't get you anywhere. And people love the art for the art. I know that there's crafts out there where they intentionally put flaws into the work and sometimes highlight it, like kintsugi with the Japanese culture. And they highlight these flaws and intentionally put these flaws into it to say this was made by a human. Like, we are not God, we are not like the creator, we are not perfect in the sense that we can create perfection in everything we do. And that idea of perfection keeps us from doing anything. Sometimes it keeps us from doing work, let alone good work. You got to do bad work to get to the good work. And beating ourselves up for all these flaws along the way is, I've done it. It's futile. As much as it feels like you're trying to better yourself by beating yourself up, it's not good. And a lot of times with the self-reflection, I found that those voices in my head that were being cruel were people in my family and my friend circles and my life in the past. And that voice I was taking on as my own, and beating myself up and bullying myself every day in my own head. And I didn't like being bullied back then, and I don't like bullying myself now. It's still something that I'm actively working on, and it's still something that will take some time, but it's a voice that I can recognize in my head and say, that's not mine. I'm feeling fear, or I'm feeling whatever, and that's bringing out these voices. Or it's me saying that this thing isn't going to be good enough and it's not going to sell, and then I won't be able to pay my bills. And like, I don't make $1 million doing this. So there are times where it can get very financially stressful, but it's so hard because it's such a human feeling thing. And like, I've had art teachers that have said, you need to not do horses. I've had my own dad at one point when I said I wanted to go to art school, because it was kinda, I wanted to do the thing. I even said I was gonna go do design instead of, going and doing fine art, which I really wanted to do. I said, "I do practical art, I do design, like, I'll do ads if that means that I can do art." And, he was basically like, "If you do art school, I'm gonna disown you, and you're not part of my life, my family," and that was out of his own fear for where that would leave me, the starving artist, right? Like, that's a very common thing in the world as an idea. So he had fear in his own heart that led to those voices, which led to the pain, which leads to the trauma, which leads to all the crazy, right? Um, but it's a good opportunity. I find that you can find your heart through doing art. And a lot of times it can be very therapeutic and healing to work through even some of this stuff. Um, where those voices come from and why they're there, and healing all that stuff that caused it. And a lot of times we're drawn to the art and the horses in particular because they are healing. And I think it's a really good opportunity for that. So I highly suggest, even if you don't think you can draw a stick figure, to draw something or get a coloring book or paint a horse. Because come on, like, if it makes you happy, do it. You might not be able to sell your little crazy painted whatever first shot for $1,000,000, but you never know where you're gonna go, because I didn't, when I first started, think that I could do anything that was worth being sold, let alone be able to sculpt anything. Um, and then now I'm on the Briar clock forever as a piece of their history, and I didn't think I could do that. And I always try and be humble about where I am, because there's a lot of stuff that could have changed the trajectory along the way. And I feel for myself that there's a lot of information and stuff for me to give back to the community, because to be honest, I talk about doing the art because it's good for you, because I've been there. Model horses got me out of, and you guys have heard some of this before, got me out of some really crazy stuff. I had the resistance to the art within my family. There was sexual abuse, there was emotional abuse, there was physical abuse, and it's all stuff you process. And I was drawn to horses because they're healing, and then the model horse community found me, and it probably saved my life. So I think that there's a lot of stuff that I can give back to the community, and I would hate to see it turn into a place where people are, there's gatekeeping and people don't feel like they can do the art stuff. They don't feel like they can participate creatively in the community. I would hate for the community to become so toxic that it drives people away. And I know there are areas and pockets of it that do that. Um, I would hate to see people taken advantage of, like I was when I first started as an artist in the hobby, because there's a lot of predatory people within the hobby that will take other artists' work and use it as their own. There's a couple of examples of it in the hobby, to be honest, and or just abuse people or use them for their art, and or even the other way around, where you get into situations where people have scammers and they take all their money and they don't get anything for it. But I firmly believe that, like anywhere in life, you have the good and you have the bad, and you can focus on the good and feed the good and it gets bigger, or you can focus on the bad and feed the bad and the trolls and they get bigger, because they're never going to go away. And that's the thing you have to learn how to deal with, is how to deal with the trolls in your own head, and then how to deal with the trolls that pop up online and in our communities and at shows that are being assholes. Like, we are stronger than all of that. And the community has amazing opportunities for healing and creativity and friendship and community. And there's been so many people with bad experiences that have left, that I don't want that to be the standard. And we've kind of veered away a little bit from that original topic of imperfection and how to deal with not feeling like you're good enough. But we've gone into a few deeper layers, I think, of that. I've got a lot of experience just in my own world and my family. Like, I shouldn't be here doing what I'm doing and succeeding in life at all. from where I came from. I came from no money. We lived very sketchy lives with involvement from some criminal elements, and it wasn't a good place. I shouldn't have gotten to a point where I could live. There was every opportunity and expectation of me for me to be pregnant as a child, and some from within my own family with the sexual abuse. And it's just, you you shouldn't let all of that BS in the world, and I know the world's crazy right now, um, affect you in a way that you don't think that you can dream big dreams and do big things and have the things that you want in life, because there's a lot of stuff that'll hold you back. And then there's a lot of crazy, and there's a lot of negative, and you can't just quit life as much as sometimes you might want to. Oh, you were covered in snow, my friend. You were covered in snow. And the doggos and the ponies and the kitties and all the pets and lovely burbs all make it better. But yeah, so if you think you can't and you're like, oh, well, this thing in my life keeps me from doing the thing, maybe I need to talk about my past more, because there's a lot of stuff that you don't know about a lot of people, right? Like, we don't know if we don't know, if somebody doesn't tell us. And you don't know the struggles that people are going through day to day. You don't know their history. And sometimes it's nice to be able to know people overcome things in childhood and trauma and their own depression and anxiety and cancer and all these different things, loss of family, loss of friends, loss of whatever, being used, being uh, like taken advantage of in all sorts of different ways, right? And I think that trying to bring a little bit of hope to things, and especially because there's so much to this hobby. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. And I know a lot of people, you guys make it better for being here. So I want you to stay and help create the community that you want, because there can be two coexisting communities. The BS trolls can have theirs and we can have ours. And it doesn't have to intersect in any way that makes a difference, because we have way more power, I think, than we think. And we have the power to create that. And I don't want anybody held back for any reason, whether that's your own personal past, your anything, whether it's another person being a dick, because most bullies are just little jellyfish and they're gooey on the inside and they just have that coating on the outside. And it doesn't take much for them to be turned around, because they don't have the heart. So anyway, that's a total rant for a day. So if you're feeling like you're not good enough, let me give you a big hug and tell you you are. Sorry, I am just scrolling through comments now that I've ranted for, like, I don't even know, that was a half an hour long rant. Amy said, I once had a well-known local artist talk down to me and tell me that I will never be able to make a living off my art. I don't listen to those types of trolls. They're only trying to discourage you. Yeah, and there's being realistic with where you're at and with the environment. And then there's being a dick. And a lot of people that are keeping people down and gatekeeping have a lot of insecurities about where they are and their own work. And that says a lot more about that than it does about what you're doing. And if somebody, it's like that great power comes great responsibility piece. I hate seeing it from big name artists and people who've been in the hobby for a long time, where they use it as an opportunity to step, what guess you call it, punching down? I don't know what the modern term is for it, but when people take that great responsibility, so with great power comes great responsibility. You're in a role, whether you like it or not, something that you need to know if you end up taking your art places and being more well-known is, the more well-known you are, the more you're kind of in the spotlight, and the more you kind of need to hold yourself in a certain way as a model for the community. And I hope that I do an okay job of that. I try really hard to try and support people as much as I don't have a lot of time sometimes, but I try and get in there and like and comment on things and encourage people along, and answer questions where I can and stuff like that, and try not to be a dick to people. It's very challenging, and it's very disappointing to see, because I know that if I was in the position starting out, and I would have had a big name person decide to take shots at me and say, "You're not good enough. Get out of here. Like your work's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to make a living off of this." That there would have been those internal voices of my own that say, "Well, yeah, starving artist, your dad disowned you." Like it would have left me in a very bad place. And I don't think the people that are at the top now had a lot of people doing that to them in the hobby when they came in, and it's the golden rule. You need to be aware of how you would have felt worse roles reversed. Like there's rules for engagement with people, where you can interact in an honest, loving, unselfish, pure way, that you can check those boxes and interact with somebody. And even if you need to tell them some harsh things, like maybe their behavior's out of line, then you can still follow those, and it's still in alignment, and you can kind of keep things going. Because sometimes we have to tell people and give them reality checks, but we also need to be encouraging. And I don't see a lot of that happening, especially from the upper tiers of the hobby. So let's see. Karen, we are here for beauty of what each of us creates. It's about personality, and we need to be more kind to ourselves. Very much so. Buy a big canvas and just throw paint at it. Exactly. Like that's what you got to do. And like I see a couple of, I'm sorry you had to go through that, and I appreciate that, but it also made me who I am. Without these experiences, how I like to frame it in my mind is, if I hadn't have gone through all the stuff I did as a kid, and all the stuff that I did, like that I've gone through in my life in general, then I don't know that I would have necessarily gravitated towards horses the same, or this community, and met all of you guys, been able to do really cool things. I might be an entitled princess that just is a dick to people. That could have been my outcome. So I try and use those things and frame them in a way in my mind that I say they formed me. It's the fire that forged me, and everybody's going to have some trial or tribulation. And if I can use that to benefit others, so like I said, maybe I need to talk about this stuff a little bit more, then if it helps people, that's what I'm here for. Because I think that the art helps people, and I think that some of the things I say hopefully help you guys, because we're all going through this human mortal adventure are on our own, right? And it helps to hear from other people that they're going through stuff too, or that they've overcome. Because sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's hard to even know that there is an overcome. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's like I was talking with a friend recently about all the visions that we used to have for the future in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s that were like spaceships and really exciting. Like the future used to be bright and wonderful and exciting, and like we were going to have robots to do our laundry and flying cars and hoverboards, and now it's all like dystopian nightmares. And that's why I don't watch horror things or things that feed that energy, because I think it feeds it in myself. And maybe in reality, maybe this is a simulation. I have no idea. And to feed it the negative and to focus on the negative without trying to acknowledge it and transmute it, then it breeds it. Just like the trolls. That's why we don't feed them, because you breed them. What you feed, you breed, right? So it's super heavy. Sorry. It's very heavy. It's just there's been a lot of thinking lately, because my brain does that. And everybody says, "Hi, Nash." Jennifer used to wear the perfume. I used to save my favorite perfume, Hypnotic Poison, for a special occasion, and I started questioning why. I used to enjoy drawing, but then I stopped because so many reasons. Maybe it's time to draw a pony while I wear perfume because I'm worth it. Exactly. I love that. And like this, I do that too. I'll save like the special things and only eke them out here and there. It's like, why? Why can't I just do the special thing now? Why can't I paint the canvas that is expensive that I've only found one of in the linen that I love? Why can't I ruin the sketchbook that I love because I'm going to put drawings in it? Like there's just so many layers to it. But I think doing those special things for us and acknowledging how we can be beginners and we can make mistakes and we can have imperfections in our work and we can ignore the voices around us in our head, and not feed into it. Because the one thing trolls love is you give them any attention, negative or positive, fight back, whatever. And they love it because then it's just fuel and they just want the fight and the drama. Good morning, Brenda. Sorry you're coming mid rant. Their gushers eat the trolls. It's like a candy encrusted gusher. It's like a candy coating on the outside and they're squishy on the inside. Excellent. I don't know that they taste very good because their souls are pretty rotten. Yeah. Thanks, Lana. Lana, I appreciate that. I try and help and encourage, and I fall short too. There are moments where can be a dick, and there's moments where I can lose my temper, and there's moments where I just withdraw because sometimes it's a lot. And it can be hard to have the confrontational conversations you sometimes need to have with people. So, very challenging. Momo, I see myself so much in your speech. I totally agree with you. I don't feel supported because of my circle, and I'm fighting against that to trust myself and my dreams in the hobby. And thank you. I appreciate that. Because like there's so much potential for people, and I see so many people say, well, I can't because I'm tired, and I can't because I'm busy, and then I had a bad day, and then this project it fell and it broke its ear, and I can't enter the contest because I'm never gonna win it. And it's like, whoa, soapbox time, right? So if there's no one on this earth that is some sort, there's so many different inspirational people out there. Like there's people with no legs, no arms, there's people that like paint with their friggin' paintbrush in their tongue, right? In their mouth because they have, or their foot. Like, and they do amazing things. And there's so many people that have so much potential, and you don't feed it, and you feed the trolls, and the trolls feed on your potential because you're not using it. It's so sad. And if you're ever in a circumstance where like there's so many people in the hobby you can reach out to and that will support you. The NaMoPyMo community is wonderfully supportive, 95% of it. Things like ICE, these events, I the Ravers group on Facebook. I haven't seen any negative comments in there. I try and monitor it. Teresa's pretty good about that too. But yeah, we got to be here for each other and for ourselves because that's a super important part, and it's something that comes, I think, a little later in life for most people because you're usually there to support others around you, your friends and your family you'd fight for, but not for yourself. And it's super important to your art because your art is your heart. It can lead you there, it can help you heal, and what comes out of you is usually very representative of what's inside of you. So you need to take care of you and love you and think that you're a person that has worth and you have value. And that can be very hard. It took me a very long time, and there's still times because there's been a lot of challenges, even lately in the community and with some friends, that it's like you're discluded or people are attacking you or whatever. And that comes with having good work too, is people will attack you. And that's so needless. But anyway, that is my soapbox. So if you're feeling like you can't do it, do it. Take on a challenge. That's a good way to get out of it. Find a community of people that are supportive, and also very importantly, cut off the people that are not. There's people that are honestly trying to be helpful, and I think you can feel the difference in your own being and your soul. And if you can't, find somebody who can help you with that, because there's a lot of sneaky, nasty people too. And that you are the people you surround yourself with. And those people have a very big impact on who you are. I've been put in positions where I've bullied other people. I've been mean, things that are not my being, because I let people into my life and into my inner circle that were not good people, and that bad behavior rubbed off on me. So just be mindful of who you curate in your life, because you don't have to be liked by everybody. There's sometimes where it's good to not be liked by people because they're not good people. So that's all I can say for now. I'll get off my soapbox so that we're not here until the stream for other stuff. Karen says, I wanted to go home yesterday from a live model horse show. I fell and broke my legs. What? Well, that's not. You also need to go to the hospital when you need to go to the hospital. um, yeah, stayed all day. Someone called me inspirational. I felt embarrassed, but I was motivated to stay. Went and donated to the show. Oh wow. Well, hopefully you're feeling better. That sucks. Like I had a show that I went to, and there was a group of people that tried to chase me out. They were mean and nasty the whole time. I was in tears by lunchtime. I was going to go home, and like there's only so many things that you have that you can enjoy in life, and you go to these things to try and enjoy your ponies and be around people, and sometimes to be the bigger person, and then other people are not the bigger people, and it's frustrating to see people corrupted and be mean to other people, and it's BS. I've heard a lot of stuff about people being at shows and wanting to leave because of people being dicks, and we need to start speaking out about that, I think, publicly more and calling it out because that behavior is not appropriate. Broke one leg. Well, don't break legs. Hopefully on your pony and not you. Yikes. I would have probably gone to the hospital before I would have stayed for the rest of the show, but good on you. That does show some gumption. Yeah, wow. I would have not. I've been a baby about it. But anyway, so that's my soapbox for inspiration and motivation and feeling like you're not good enough, because I guarantee you basically every single person that you've ever admired or looked up to or is a big name in the hobby or art world or otherwise, unless there's some sort of crazy psychopath, they don't feel good enough, and they probably still don't feel good enough even though you admire their work, and it's just a thing we fight with, and there's a lot of things that we can do about that. So yeah, that's the thing. All right, I'm gonna let you, well, show you one thing, and then I'm gonna move on to the club thing quickly, and then we can go. We are snowing today, but the snow is going to melt this week, and I'm going to plant some pretty flowers that'll make me happy next year. This is like one of the things that I do for myself, is try and do something for future me that past me probably doesn't want to do. So getting the coffee ready in the morning, or planting flowers that I won't see until next year, or like leaving a little bit of money in my winter jacket when I put it away. So when I go to grab my winter jacket, it's like, oh, thanks, past me, you're so nice. It's just it's a way of loving yourself, and taking the time and investing like you would to gift or surprise or delight one of your family members or your kids or your spouse or someone, best friend, whoever's in your life that you care about, because sometimes it's hard to care about yourself as much as you care about someone else you love, and then trying to think about yourself as someone you actually love and like, and do those nice things for you, right? Buy the Lush bath bomb, buy the nice coffee maker or the fancy coffee or the fancy mix in for the coffee, or buy yourself the pretty pony. Like, we got to do nice things for ourselves. It is snowing here. Yes. So hopefully they fix your leg, because ouch. I haven't broken a bone. I've cracked bones, but I haven't broken bones. All right. With that, I will let those of you that don't want spoilers to do your thing, and I will spoil things for people in like 5 seconds. But if you do leave, I love you. Don't feed the trolls. Hopefully I didn't rant too long. It's been a long stream. And then if they're all gone, spoiler in 5, 4, 3, 2. So Nessie is lovely, but Uninessie is also really nice. So if you wanted to customize her as a unicorn, now you know what she looks like, and it is wonderful. And I highly suggest the customization, or any customization. You could give her like druidy antlers, Teresa. You could do all sorts of fun things with her. You could make her scaly. You could make her all sorts of things. So I highly encourage customization. I highly encourage you to enter into that ice competition if you would like. So International Customizing Equine event. And then I showed you a peek of the surprise that I included in your boxes. It is glowy. It is glowy and wonderful. Let's see if I can find it. All right. And then, sorry, I didn't prepare this to show. I don't have proper photos of it that are on the computer, but I can at least show you these. So some of you, there are 5. There are 5 of these, and they will pop up in your Medallion Club boxes at random. I drew them at random. So I don't know where they're going. You don't know where they're going, and we will see who ends up with them because they're pretty cool. But I will probably have a couple available after if you did not get them. It'll be a fairly limited run because this stuff is not cheap. So some of them glow because you can't not do glowy things. The top one here is a purple glow, and it takes some intense UV to do it, but the glow is like ultraviolet wonder. And the actual glow on the horse itself, it looks like it's made of stars. It's almost like something out of Avatar. It's very, very cool. So there's a couple of these ones. 2 of the purple will be or were sent out at random, and then 3 of the green glow. And the green glow is super bright. So you can charge this thing very quickly and it will glow for a long time. And you can paint these like normal too. It doesn't affect how they are painted, but you could also leave areas exposed or use clear gesso and have glow through markings or glow through spots, or you could have glow through stripes. I don't know, depending on how thick your coating of paint will be, that would determine if it actually glows underneath the paint. But you can be painted like normal. It doesn't affect it on any other level. They are the glow worm powders from Smooth On, so they are quite intense, which is super cool. But the purple one I've been itching to use forever, and the fact it just looks like stars just makes me happy inside. So hopefully you guys get excited because it looks really, really neat. I'm very excited, and that's just I had to do it. It's Kelpie. I had to do the glow for the Halloween. So that's the thing. So on that note, hopefully some of you are lucky enough to receive said glowy pieces. And then I might do a limited run of a couple of each that will be available at some point later on once all these packages arrive. So yeah, that's fun. All right. Hopefully next time I will have some more peeky peeks for you. The Romeo banner did sell and is off to our Lizzie. Congratulations, Lizzie. Yay. Which is super exciting. And I will probably have to do more voted on pieces because that was really fun. And if you guys really want a 3D version of said little dancing Donko, then I'll put it up for a vote. We'll see. All right, guys. I love you very much. Good luck with healing, Karen, and anybody else that's having a hard time. We love you. I love you. Know that the community's here for you and we're not all dicks. So that's nice. And it's too magical to give up. So I implore you to not give up on the community and not give up on yourself and the art and all of it because there's good people out there. All right, guys. I love you guys. I will see you next time. Do not feed the trolls. Hopefully there are less of them soon.